Welcome to the Famous Now podcast, where the stars discuss the shine. Hosted by the one and only Ladarius Ely, aka Frankie Van Gogh, aka Mr. Never Satisfied. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends at Everlast. Everlast is the global leader in design, manufacturing, licensing, and marketing of authentic boxing, mixed martial arts, and fitness-related sporting goods, equipment, footwear, and accessories. We got it all at Everlast. And of course, our other sponsors at thenowlegacy.com, who makes all this possible, servicing the overlooked and the underserved. Today, we have a very special guest by way of Shreveport, Louisiana. Our guest is known for some of the best photos, the best photography in the game. Trey Cooper, a.k.a. T-Root, a.k.a. Mr. Noop, a.k.a. Mr. Young and Motivated. How you doing today, Trey?
Everything is good. Thank you for the great intro, bro.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I tried my best to pull out my Young and Motivated shirt today, man, but it's packed down somewhere. So for sure, man, next time I have it on. For sure. Oh, man. First and foremost, I've been knowing this guy for years. Like,
since I first got to college.
Right. Man, I mean, you know, your impact was immediately on campus. You know, you came around, you started doing photo work for a lot of different events. But not only that, like I brought up the Young and Motivated, man, there was something that we felt prideful to have, you know, being there in that shoe. Like we definitely wore these clothes. We wore that shirt. We wore that sweater. You know, everybody wore that every day or every other day just to show our pride and the things that we had as a collective in that shoe. And man, you made a major impact by, you know, using that brand, man.
Thank you, bro. Like, part of the reason why I made it up is actually talking to people on the campus, coming up with the quote, getting with Steve, you know, and, you know, helping me, you know, he helped me design the first one because I ended up coming to NSU on scholarship for graphic design.
Okay.
So, you know, whenever I got into that, I mean, it kind of all correlated with the art, but that was something that was real meaningful because it was something that I could creatively, you know, express myself with, but also made a difference on campus, like how you said.
Yeah.
So
most definitely. I mean, it started to spread like wildfire because not only was NSU students wearing it, I've actually seen, you know, people from Southeastern wearing it and, you know, different people of the magnitude. So, man, kudos to you, brother. I can't wait for a new merch drop on that Young and Motivated. You heard it here right now. The Famous Now podcast. We trying to get it, y'all. Now, T-Roo, what we do here, we like to get inside the minds of the talent, the artist, the person that's on the other end of this interview. And like I said, I know you for quite some time. So what I'm going to do is step aside as the person that knows you, but step inside of the person that's interviewing you as if I'm not a fan, but I'm trying to grow into being a fan. Because I'm a fan, but I can't say that right now because I want to be very, very inclusive on what we're talking about. So to begin, I would like to know where are you from originally?
Shreveport, pretty much Pines Road and Stoner Hill. I had both my grandparents in both neighborhoods, and both of them really raised me. So really, you know, spend 2 or 3 weekends, you know, weeks on the hill, then about a week or two in Pines, you know. So
a little bit there.
Yeah, Shreveport though.
Shreveport, and which you went to which high school? Shreve. Okay.
But Career Center, that's what saved me. That's what did it for me.
Okay, for sure. I would have said a little small thing about Shreve, but they whooped us in sports, so I'm not gonna say too much about them right now. Now, so I asked about your background because coming from Shreveport, Louisiana, as you know, we're from the very small pieces of Louisiana, but coming from Shreveport, Louisiana, it's not much access, but the people that take advantage of their access become bigger and better, especially across the state. And again, we take pride in what people do in our state, right?
Right.
So whose work influenced the art that we know as T-Rule Productions right now?
Okay, so as far as people that actually taught me and like people around the city that influenced me, I would have to say people like Jay Brown. Yeah. He was one of the first photographers I actually seen, trying to do fashion-based projects as I was in high school. Everybody else just kind of wanted to do the outside and the flowers and all of that, but he, was the first one in the city to go that route. My teacher, Mr. Hobby, like he was the one that actually introduced me to digital media as a collector. And my teacher, Ms. Tolbert, she introduced me to graphic design. So, but also Steve, like Steve taught me a little bit of photography. Mr. DeFee, Steve also taught me graphic too. But I mean, really just the NSU art department too. But it's man, there's so many crazy photographers, but especially people like Nick Knight and major photographers like that. Like, I don't know, it's just like whenever you open up a magazine or whenever you go to social media and see this crazy shoot and you be like, man, like how to do that. So it's like, other than just settling, I would like work my butt off and like study my craft and perfect it until my work just looks just as good as the people who I look up to. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, great way to cap that off. You learn from these people, but you get better. You get better, and I guess that kind of goes into the next thought, the next question I had. So, you learning from these different people, you said you learned a little bit of graphic design in high school. Of course, you worked with other people around the city of Shreveport, and then when you went to NSU, you had a huge advantage by working with the whole graphic department.
Right. Like in school, you don't start like actual designing on the computer till like your sophomore, junior year. Wow. And I was doing high school, so it's like, when me coming into college, I was already on the same level as some sophomores and juniors.
Wow.
So it gave me a big jump.
Wow. So, I mean, like from that experience, you jumped in the game early. You had the opportunity to see a lot of things that were being utilized then. And I don't know, are you using the same things now? As far as...
like it's definitely a process, bro.
For sure.
But it's like I'm 9 years in now, and I know people that's been in way longer. But I also seen a lot of people come in and out. And after 9 years, between the kind of cameras, the retouching style, the style of photography, or the style of fashion, and just like going to these different cities and runway, and what's things that we looked at and was like, man, that's a crazy shoot. Now we look at now like it's straight, because everything keeps evolving. But if you are in a position to create something that's timeless, and that's what I try to do. That just sets you apart, and that's what I try to tune in on.
Yeah. So among the gadgets that you own, which all your cameras and different things that you go into with a shoot, is there something that you wish you hadn't bought?
I wish I hadn't got my stuff stolen. I had to rebuy everything. But in the past, I know my very, very first camera, like, because when I came to college, I didn't have anything on the real. Like, I had a Toshiba computer. I had to go to the library, do all my designing work. Like, it was nothing. I had to literally do work around school and pretty much like go in the library, design those things, and the money I got from being a student worker and from my graphics, I went ahead and invested into my clothes, and then the money I made from that, my dad helped me, get a camera that was worth. My first one was a Fiji, man. I can't. It couldn't do anything, but it cost though. Yeah, it cost, man. Like art, photography, like just a camera body may hit you for like $3,500. Like the lens that I use are all $2,000 a piece, between $2,000 and $1,500. So it's a process.
So I guess that kind of canceled me out of being in the game, man. Cause nah, man, that's dope, man. I mean, you came to NSU doing graphic work, and then you got the opportunity to do more as a freshman than anybody else had the opportunity of doing, right? And then, even though you had limited gear at the time, you still may do it. You may do it with
it's about being hungry. Like you got two different kind of people. You got people that do things because they just like to do it.
Yeah.
And you have people that do things because they want to be the best. And me, anything that I really, really focus on, I may do it because I want to, but I'm trying to be the best. Because to me, why am I doing it? Like I want my legacy to be, number one. Just like whenever I was in school, I still graduated with a 3.6, but I was on the newspaper staff, lead photographer for that. I created the school yearbook, won the first place award. All of the department awards, I won first place in all of them. So I never did come to settle. Like I always came to work my butt off, learn from the people that were above me, still pay homage, but still like I'm trying to be just as good or better. But I'm trying to also help the people that's coming up behind me be just as good.
Right.
Because that makes me better. That keeps me hungry.
Right. Which I mean, I'm glad you said that, because this interview jam packed with a lot of things that I can't wait to ask. But you have actually worked with many people, man. Like, and among the works, who would you say, or what would you say is your favorite of all time?
I would say, as far as working hand in hand with somebody, I would say Spike Lee. Whenever I was an undergrad, was the biggest name. But like I said, I done that event because that was actually like my event to do. But I think the biggest one I've done was for Angela Simmons. They flew me out to New York to go ahead and do a shoot for her, and I got booked for that project. So recently, that was still major. Yeah. So for right now, I'll say that's my biggest one, like so far.
So I'm glad that you said those two names because, earlier before we started this interview, pre-interview, I told you that we was gonna play a little game, right?
Yeah.
And I did not tell you what the game was or what it was called, what none of that, right?
Right.
So I have on hand, me and my team compiled a bunch of pictures, a bunch of photos that we would love to know the backstories behind. And of course, the very first one that we have is very, very vital. We definitely want to know about this one because, of course, you had the opportunity of working with the great Spike Lee. And like you said, this was undergrad. He came to Natchitoches, Louisiana, correct?
Right.
Okay, so kind of elaborate more about that day's event and how closely you worked with the great Spike Lee.
Like hand in hand, I know whenever he first came in, because he didn't just come in, but he kind of sat in the front part, and I was just taking them pictures because it was for the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
So my teacher in the art department was like, "Hey Trey, Spike Lee's coming to town," and I was like, what? So I made sure, like I said, like I was always hungry. Like my biggest problem back then was it wasn't like, partying and all of that stuff too much. My major problem was I worked too much. So like when I say I literally hawked down the lady over the Boys and Girls Club and made sure I was the person to do that event. Yeah. Like, I made, sometimes like everybody's talking about, make sure it's paid. But like sometimes you got to make them sacrifices and just put yourself in position. And that was one of my first major opportunities to do that. And I took advantage of it. He's a great dude, gave a great speech. And I mean, it's not too many times you could say that you worked the Spike Lee event. Right. That was in the negative, newspaper and everything. So, I mean, I was extremely grateful for that opportunity, but that was the start of me working with major names.
Correct. And one major name which you mentioned earlier was definitely Miss Angela Simmons, as you see here, your photography work. So this was actually in New York?
That was in New York. That was earlier this year. And the story what that is, I work for the Hair Boutique. I'm one of her photographers. So pretty much they were like, what's crazy is I was actually supposed to be in Phoenix that weekend. Okay. And this is when Corona, I'm talking about, first happened. So before it got bad, and I think around like DC, they had some people like in DC that were supposed to be there and they ended up getting sick. So they ended up canceling that for my job. Okay. And that same exact weekend is a weekend that they was trying to fly me out to New York. So after that got canceled, I ended up going to New York. And, we picked out D, which is over the Hair Boutique. Okay. And we went ahead and went and done the jump, man. We went to New York, picked out everything, got everything set up, and, man, just put in a lot of work. I know, I think his IG name is I Am Diddy, but he was a stylist. The crazy thing about that is 2 outfits that they end up pulling for Angela Simmons shoots. 2 of those stylists were from Shreveport, and that's crazy. Wow. Black stylists, Pink Lucy, and I think the other guy named is Steven. But yeah, those 2 designers, I think they're stationed in Dallas right now. But it's crazy whenever you go to a photo shoot for a celebrity and they start pulling and you see 2 people in your hometown. Right. Their work. So it was a crazy
dope, man. That's dope. Super dope. And with your experiences all over the world, as I get to say that, man, my guy been all over the world now. With your experiences, you definitely ran into a lot of different people that we actually love, and they are seen all over the world, seen on TV, different things of the sorts. But I definitely want to know the story behind this one specifically. You got to speak with the great, your mentor, correct?
Yes, like
your icon.
That is definitely number one. I mean, and best believe people like Jay Prince, for sure. People like Nipsey, for people sure. Like Jay-Z, wow. Like like the entrepreneur mind frame, like is very, very, very essential for me. But this man, to accomplish everything that he's done, and still, and then not to also mention that, but actual making contracts for rappers where they can actually keep their royalties, and just all the stuff that he invests in, and starting leagues and having his chips in stores, and like that was major for me. But I was on Facebook and I was on one of my friends' page, and they said that Master P was in town. So I hit him up at the news station, but I knew by the time I would have got there, he wasn't going to be there no more. So I'm pretty connected. So I made a few phone calls, and I found out he was going to be later on that day. Yeah. And when I say I was there, and I wasn't leaving until I got a picture with him. But, I mean, I talked to him a little bit, but, like just be able to meet Master P, and not to mention like the same year I met Master P, I also met Jay Prince. For sure. And matter of fact, the same day I met Master P, I met Walker that same day. So it's wow. Yeah, it's been a lot. Man, I mean, it's pretty dope to see somebody that
you know, that started right there in his shoe with us, and you know, to see the work that you do, that you putting in on a daily basis is major, man. It's major and means a lot to people that you don't realize that, you know. So man, keep the grind. Of course, man. We're happy to see you rubbing shoulders with celebrities, but most definitely, man, I'm happy to see photos like this. What you think about this one, man?
Man, that's my nephew, man. Like, man, like, whenever he was born and everything, like my brother wasn't, you know, in Shreveport, so I never knew when I was going to end up seeing him. Okay. But I think that was like my first day, like seeing him. His name is Legend. But yeah, that's man. You know, I treat him like he my own, man. I take it like that's my son. So
that's dope.
Yeah, you know, that's my heart.
That's dope, man. It's dope. I mean, you know, speaking of your heart, you got some other thing that you like to say that's in your heart, and it kind of started with a certain land that certain people go to. Kind of tell us about Kelper Land.
Man, I had to wait so long. Hey, man, these organizations stay like man. I had to, man, like, so I was yeah, man. Freshman year came in, didn't really know, you know, what direction I wanted to go to. But, you know, end up, you know, about sophomore year, I don't know, like in SU, even though I made the decision that I did, all like everybody showed me love. Like just like Robert Guidry, like I'm in his wedding, and like he was in, like it's just a lot of stuff that happened over those years. So even though I decided to make my decision, you know, for my own reasons, and that's because that's what I wanted. But it's like I don't know. I don't look at it as divided as a lot of other people do. Like
no.
We all I look at y'all just like my brothers too.
Yeah.
But I just felt like, you know, when it came down to this was more fitting for me, my personality, how I wanted to carry myself, and also a lot of the noops that I was like consistently working with and rubbing shoulders with. It was like it was a family, but it was a business decision too. And just like Kendrick Ferris, like he's an Olympian and he's from Stony Hill, you know, just with me, and he's also a noob too. So it's like not Hollis Conway. He's another Olympian, got the American high jump record. He's also a noob. I'm real close. So it's like it just kind of that's why I gravitated to, and man, that was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, man. But that was an extremely stressful time, and I had to wait a long time. Like, I was hoping it was gonna be around my sophomore year, but I had to do grad school, and they ended up combining the undergrad and grad lines, so you know it was all together. But yeah, man, it was a long time coming on a long road.
Man, and you know, man, never, no need to even say, you know, it was like a split decision, brother. We already knew. We all knew that eventually you'll be holding up the yo and saying Phi Nu Pi. So, man, congrats again 1,000 times. I was there at your probate, man, and
thank you, bro.
Dog, you know, I was more proud of you than a lot of things that I'm seeing now. But you know, to see you doing what you love, man, major respect to you, because you know, not only are you, you know, highly involved into your organization, but like I said, you're doing the work. You impacting others, you know, and your impact goes a long way. And I know for certain that you are connected with young people like this guy right here. Who is this guy, and what does that mean to you?
My boy Dunn. I met him at Northwestern. He's also a photographer and videographer. That's somebody who came up underneath me.
Yes, sir.
Like, as far as photographers, it's like just like how I said when I first came to NSU, I would literally bug people like Steve, Ricky, and just consistently ask questions. And I'll call them at 3, 4 in the morning. I didn't care. If I needed help with something, I would call them. So it's like knowing that when I didn't have anything, they were there for me.
For sure.
These are things that I help do for other people. But Dunn has a lot of potential, man. I talk to him almost every single week. When I go to Houston this weekend, I'm probably gonna pop up at his house. And, you know, because his son is, you know, like I said, his son like family too. He's like family.
Yeah.
And I had my young and motivated softball team, and he ended up playing for me. So that's how I ended up meeting him.
For sure.
But, yeah, like me, I take putting the younger generation on game, I take that extremely serious. I take it extremely serious because, I mean, how can you truly call yourself the best or the greatest if you won't share information? Like, you're not challenging yourself. You're just holding it in. And if you die with it, now, like, everybody loses.
Yeah. It's vital, man. It's vital to give game, man. You never know how it's going to return back to you full turn. So, man, major respect. We could go through photos all day, man, and hear the stories, man. But we have like a few more questions that's very important. And hey, man, we've enjoyed our time. Right now, if you're checking in, we're here with my guy T-Roo, and he's killing the game. He's telling us his story. He's told us how he started humble beginnings and where he is now. And man, my guy ain't stopping. He ain't stopping till it's over. So, major respect to you.
Thank you.
I want to ask you this, man. Like, what is one thing that you wish you knew when you first started on your journey?
It's a bunch of things, but I'm gonna just go ahead and pick one.
Okay.
One thing that I wish I knew is the things to invest in. Like too often, like we'll go to YouTube, I'll go here or there, and we'll get a bunch of things that are just unnecessary.
Yeah.
And it's like in doing that, it's kind of like when you try to sell it back, the resale value not the same.
Yeah.
You gotta, you know, it's just like it's just a waste. But it's like for me, when people contact me, I tell them exactly what to get, exactly what to start off with, how it's gonna, you know, help or hurt them. And they save so much money and time like that.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely I wish that I would have known the right equipment to get from the jump. So I wouldn't have had to double back and get rid of stuff and sell stuff to get this. I just would have saved my money and got the stuff I needed, you know,
from the beginning. For sure. And this next question, man, I mean, you kind of summed up everything, you know, but this question is a lead off question. I mean, you already doing what you love, right? You're very invested in your family. You're very invested in your fraternity. You're invested in your work, your craft. You want to see others win. So, like, I mean, you just answered something that you wish you knew when you started off, but it's someone that's gonna listen to this podcast interview afterwards, and you know, someone that's a fan of yours and definitely been watching and looking up to you, and someone's gonna want to know some new games, some information about being a photographer in this modern age, in this age right now. What advice would you give that person? And you know, what avenue would you tell them to begin in?
It all depends on the style that they want to, you know, achieve, or like that they want to go out after. Me personally, I would tell them that it costs, you know, so don't go in just thinking that, you know, man, you know, I'm just come in and do all of this and I can just make money. Like, you got to like really study your craft, just like how if you want to be a great basketball player, you'll run, you'll go to the gym, you'll get stronger, you'll perfect, you know, your skill set, you'll get that basketball, you dribble, you jump. Like the same thing with this, but the difference is in the gym, you know, like stuff may cost, but you know, is like with this camera stuff, you're talking about racks.
Yeah.
You know, depending on how far that you want to go and depending on what you want to invest in. But I mean, between Photoshop to having to probably buy a Mac computer to having to, you know, get these camera bodies and all of these lenses in to reach out to these models. And sometimes they'll do trade-offs, but sometimes you got to pay for that. Like me, I mean, I'm paying for hairstylists and the makeup artists and the models and the venue. So, I mean, people may look at these shoots and be like, man, that's crazy and all of that. But it's like, it costs. Yeah. So to achieve what you want to, it's gotta be a real investment in yourself. Sure. So if you really don't want it, I mean, if you just want to do commercialized work, that's cool if you just want some quick money. But if you want to create art, you gotta be willing to develop your eye, develop your skill set, and stay hungry and don't settle and be consistent.
For sure.
Because you could be the best, but what's the use of being the best for? What's the use of having the best shoot for a month whenever you still got the rest of your life? Like that doesn't matter. You're only as good as your last project, so stay hungry.
Man, y'all heard it right here. We had my guy, T-Roo, Trey Cooper, a.k.a. Mr. Noop, a.k.a. Mr. Young and Motivated, however you want to see it, man. My guy, T-Roo, is doing some major stuff, been across the world, met a lot of different people, man, but he's still humble. He's still the same guy I knew from 2011 when I met him, man. So, major kudos. T-Roo, man, we getting ready to wrap this thing up, man. You got any shout-outs you want to give out?
Man, shout-outs to my whole team. I know I'm not going to remember to say everybody's name, so I'm not going to try to. But some people who I do work extremely close with is my boy Trey.
Yeah.
Like I said, Steven.
Yeah.
Ricky, Brandon, because I know, like, as far as teaching me what I needed to, Miss Havoc, Miss Tolbert,
yeah.
Let me go ahead and say that. And before all of that, let me say thank God for the opportunity to do everything.
For sure.
So before all of that, but, people like Araya, Gabby, people even going back, people like Ashley and Terry, just like Jazz, like I said, it's too many people to just name everybody. But I definitely want to say, if you are part of my in-house team, thank you. And I wouldn't be where I am without the people that's around me, because it's a team effort. Like Corona, so thank you, everybody.
For sure. So you heard it here. We thank you guys for another episode of Famous Now. It's been a really good one. We thank you, Mr. T-Roo, Mr. Trey, for joining us today. We look forward to having you again. We're proud of all the work that you putting in the communities and across the world, man. And before we sign out, we must say, arrest the officers that killed Breonna Taylor.
Definitely.